for Bennelong.
Thank you, Speaker. For too long, banks and international card providers have benefited from a system that penalises consumers and small businesses. It's a system that has siphoned off billions of dollars from our economy through merchant fees, acquirer fees and card surcharges. According to Canstar, these fees cost us $4 billion annually, money that belongs in the pockets of hard-working Australians, not in the hands of banks and international card providers. Small businesses in particular have been drowning under these surcharges. I used to run a small business, Speaker, and my business used to pay $1,000 a month in these fees to the banks. The local kebab shop down the road from my office, merchant fees cost him $2,000 a month. And for everyday Australians, when these surcharges have to be passed on, it means less money in their bank account. Deputy Speaker, I've spent hours in the past month questioning the RBA and the big banks about this. I've heard countless experts talk about these fees on radio and TV, and no one has been able to answer this simple question adequately. Why are the costs of cash embedded when the costs of digital payments are not? No one can tell me cash is free and that digital isn't. It's upside down, and it doesn't make any sense. Well, Speaker, I think this great rort's time is up. There simply must be change. $4 billion per year is being ripped out of our economy away from the pockets of Australians who work day in, day out. Right now, the banks own digital payment systems here in Australia, and they're being bypassed at the checkout. Instead of businesses being charged the lowest fee available, they're being slugged higher fees of international card providers, which are being increasingly passed on to customers. And I know I'm not the only Australian that recognises this. Since I first raised this issue with the RBA a month or so ago, I've been inundated with support from businesses and consumers across the country who have been frustrated for years, as I have, that these fees just don't make sense. But of course there is resistance. Banks and card providers are not willing to let go of these fees that easily. During the public hearings of the House of Economics Committee last week, I questioned the CEOs of Australia's big banks, and they were quick to justify these fees. Their response was predictable: claims about maintaining infrastructure and covering costs. But we need to be clear here, Speaker. The infrastructure for fee-free payments exists now here in Australia, and the bank's reluctance to move forward isn't about costs. It's about a reluctance to give up what I believe to be unjustified fees. These fees are unjustified because the banks carry the costs of cash, but they don't carry the costs of digital payments. CBA revealed that distributing cash costs them $350 million a year, and they do so without batting an eyelid. Their own evidence said that cash costs twice as much to transact in than digital, and yet despite these costs, the banks absorb the costs of cash. Speaker, banks own Australia's digital domestic payments platform. They all collectively own EFTPOS, BPay, OSCO and the new National Payments Platform. They own all of them, and they've told us that they're cheaper than cash, but they charge us to use the digital platforms, and that's got to stop. And that's the crux of my campaign, Speaker. Digital payments have transformed the way we transact. They are quick, they are safe, and we know that they are cheaper to process than the alternative. And for that reason alone, they should be fee-free. At its heart, this campaign is about supporting everyday Australians, families, workers and small business owners who are feeling the pinch from rising costs of living. This campaign is about ensuring small businesses are not penalised for offering digital payments, which 75% of us use. For a small retailer, the cost of accepting digital payments are significant. For a $100 purchase at Woolies or Coles, it'll cost them as low as 20 cents, maybe even less. For that same purchase at a small business, it could cost them $2. Big retailers can absorb these lower costs, small businesses cannot. The inequality is absurd, it's anti-competitive, and it has to stop. Speaker, by the end of the year, the Reserve Bank will start to review payment surcharges. This review is the nation's opportunity to end this digital payments rorts. So I'd encourage all to sign my petition at feefreedigital.com. The time for change is now, and Australia deserves a fee-free digital payment.